Happiness is a habit, right? Happiness is a habit. It's something that you practice over and over again. So while people try to get to their ideal life, or you want to have life exactly where you want it, you want health, wealth, love, happiness, all the things right there. Well, you got to know it's practice. It's a habit. And we're going to talk more about that in the text, right? As far as where that habit comes from. Obviously, you know the thesis here. If you change your thinking, you change your life, right? So normally your habits are going to come from a product of what you're thinking about and how you're thinking about things, right? But just know happiness is a habit. Hey, I wrote down you experience the life you focus on, the life that you want to eventually create. It comes from what you're focused on. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. That's what you got to remember. And again, all of these things are the things that you have to remind yourself. You have to remind yourself this stuff does not just come to you. That's why we do these morning mindset calls. That's why we plant these seeds, so you can constantly remind yourself. So, what are you focusing on in your life? You focusing on the good, focusing on the bad, focusing on what you have, what you don't have. You focusing on what you're grateful for. You focusing on the fear. You focusing on the problems. Like, where does your focus go throughout the day? Where does your focus go? That's something you have to ask yourself over and over again. Ask yourself over and over again because you experience the life that you focus on. And secondly, he said it's about the meaning that we give whatever we're focused on or whatever that happened, that event, the meaning that we place on it, the story that we tell ourselves. That's what he's saying. The story that we tell ourselves. Remember, life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. We all go through the same varying degrees of things in this human experience. You've heard me say this before, but it's the meaning you attach to it. When something happens in your family, what do you believe that says? I was having this conversation with someone. I have the same conversations over and over again. Uh, so I always forget who I was talking to. And I was having this conversation about when people get started in their journey. They get started in their journey of entrepreneurship. They get started in their next thing. Normally, the enemy comes and attacks immediately. Immediately. Like it's one of those things that as you start heading down the path that you know God has placed for you, you have the vision, you start getting excited about some things, you start moving in that direction. Inevitably, the enemy comes and attacks in some area that you're used to. It could be family, it could be finances, it could be health, it could be all these little things, but it's an immediate attack. And the meaning people give to that attack is the thing that changes the trajectory of their life or not. If they say, what I hear a lot of people say is, oh, this must be a sign that I'm not supposed to do this. This must be a sign that I'm not supposed to move forward in this direction. Now I have a setback. Now I need to wait. Now I need to slow down. Now I need to rethink this. When that becomes the meaning, it automatically takes us away. The enemy easily can distract us and take us away from what we have, what God has in store for us. The people that say, I'm going to do this in spite of this trial, this setback, this thing. This isn't a sign that I shouldn't do it. This is the sign that I need to do it. The people that have that mindset typically win, change the trajectory of their life. I see it happen over and over again. So you got to know the meaning that you place on something is more important than what's actually happening around you. Take that note, y'all, because it's a big one, right? I see it happen over and over again, and I want y'all to get through that in case that ever happens to you, right? But I'm gonna share this on the screen. We're gonna dive in our text, 177 mental toughness secrets. This one always stood out to me. It says champions follow the results matrix. The end of this results matrix is happiness. Tony Robbins talks a lot about, again, happiness, a life of happiness and fulfillment. It's not the money. It's who you have to become in order to get the money. It's not the house. It's who you have to become in order to get the house. It's the accomplishments. That's what allows us to continue to keep going. It's not the destination, it's the journey, right? You've heard all these sayings before, but how much are we living this? How much is this our actual day-to-day practice? So in this chapter of 177 mental toughness secrets, I'm gonna break this down for you because I think it's really important. It talks about how we get to happiness, and you'll understand it all comes back to our thinking. It all comes back to how we think. Says here, average performers tend to take a hit or miss approach to attracting success, fulfillment, and happiness into their lives. Professional performers follows the formula known as the result matrix. Some are aware they're following it, others are not. The great ones believe the ultimate prize is happiness, and that happiness is the result of success and fulfillment. Say that again. Happiness is the result of success and fulfillment. They further believe success and fulfillment are created by the appropriate habits, actions, and behaviors which are dictated by a performer's level of consciousness. The performer's level of consciousness is created by their beliefs, and their beliefs are created by their own programming, which is the manifestation of the language and the mental pictures they use with themselves and others. The results matrix works for any level you want to attain, and it all begins with making the decision on what level of words and pictures you will use on a regular basis. The great ones decide to go pro and immediately upgrade their language and visualization to the world class level. After this change has been turned into a habit, it's only a matter of time before the mental domino effect begins and the performer starts to achieve world class results. It's such a simple formula for world class happiness that most of us miss it. As Jim Rohn says, it's easy to do and easy not to do. The language, the results, how do we get to happiness? Tony Robbins gave you a couple things, talked about it being a habit, but this is going to break it down a little bit more for you. I saw a video this weekend on TikTok. I meant to pull it up for you, but there's this Asian lady that's in finance, and she was talking about the language of the poor, right? The language of the poor. If you believe wealthy people have a language, poor people have a language, right? It's all, and that's where it starts. It starts in how we communicate things. It says here, the performer's level of consciousness is created by their beliefs, and their beliefs are created by their own programming, which is the manifestation of the language and mental pictures they use with themselves and others. So that's where it all starts. So if we want to get to happiness, if we want to get to fulfillment, we want to get to these places, ladies and gentlemen, you got to know it starts with the programming and what you're saying, the language, and your mental pictures. Here's how they break it down. I always like how they break it down in the book this way. Let's just use it this way. Let's start with world class. World class language and visualization creates world class programming. World class programming creates world class beliefs. World class beliefs creates world class consciousness. World class consciousness creates world class habits, actions, and behaviors. World class habits, actions, and behaviors create world class success and fulfillment. And world class success and fulfillment creates world class happiness. That ergo, right? Your language, whatever language you start with, whatever visualization you start with, creates the programming which ultimately leads to happiness, which ultimately leads to your success and fulfillment and happiness. So it all starts with what are you saying to yourself, and what are the mental pictures? What stories are in your mind? When we talk about shifting our life, getting to the life we don't need a break from, most of us try to start all the way down here with the habits, actions, and behaviors. Oh, I just got to get more disciplined. I just got to change my habits in here. I just got to do this. We start all the way down at the bottom. My encouragement to you and what I want to constantly reinforce is all of this starts with what are you saying to yourself? What language are you using? Do we have language of the poor? Do we have language of the unhealthy? Do we have language of those around us that are not successful? Like, is that the language we have? Are those the visualizations that we have? Is that the stuff in our mind? Remember, when we go to change, what do I always tell you? Change what you're watching and what you're listening to. Why? Because that changes your visualization. If you only watched or listened to one thing for the next 30 to 60 days, it would change your thoughts. We just happen to listen to 1,000 things throughout the month. You happen to listen to 150 things in the day. You happen to see 17 posts and news clippings and what this person says and what this person says. And you talk to your family and you talk to your kid. We have all of these things that go into our visualization. But if we could say, hey, happiness and fulfillment is what I'm headed towards. That's the life I don't need a break from. Then to pull it all the way back, we start to say, okay, well, what am I saying? What type of language do I have for myself and for others? What's my language? Is it world class language? Is it affirmative? Am I speaking good things? Am I speaking affirmations? Do I have the language of gratitude? Do I have the language of abundance? Like how am I speaking? And some of this stuff, y'all, might not be what you speak out loud, but what you're speaking to yourself. I told you when I get on a really great workout, like I speak well to myself. I pump myself up. I like get myself excited. I motivate myself. I tell myself I'm awesome. I tell myself I'm strong. I tell myself no one else can do this, right? Like I talk well to myself. And then because I can do that, I talk well to others. I speak well of others. I empower others. I encourage others. I can do that for myself and I can do that for others. And then visualization, what I choose to put into my mind, what I choose to look at, what I choose to listen to, creates my programming. It creates how I'm wired. It creates, when you people say that's who I am. Well, that's who you are because of what you've said to yourself and what you've seen. But you can change that because if you do change it, it'll change your programming. And when you start changing your programming, it'll change what you believe to be true. If you changed your programming around money, that a lot of times was unconsciously programmed because of how we grew up or who we were around or whatever the case is, if you change the programming, you'll change your beliefs around money. If you changed your programming around relationships, you would change your beliefs around relationships. If you changed your belief, right? Like that's how this works. If you change your programming, it'll then start to work through all the other things. So when your beliefs are different, you operate differently. If you believe something strongly, you're going to think about it differently. It's going to cause you to then create different habits and actions and behaviors. So instead of just trying to attack the habits, actions, and behaviors in your life, think about, man, how am I thinking about this? What am I saying about this? What story did I create for this person, for this situation, for my life currently, for the season that I'm in? What story am I saying? Is this oh, I never get ahead? I'm not lucky. I don't have it, right? Like, what stories are we saying? If you can attack that, ladies and gentlemen, you can start to change all the rest of these. You start paying attention to what you're watching, what's going in your eye gates. We're living through some times. Again, I stress this because I know this is where people, because it happens to me, I catch it quickly. But I know we can get distracted by all of the stuff that comes our way. From everything that comes into the news, from everything on the political cycle, from everything at our jobs, from all the gossip, from all the right headlines, from all the stuff, even if it's innocent stuff like sports or something that's happening with your kids or your family. Like there's so much that we're taking in that we have to be very mindful of what programming this is creating. We have to be mindful of this stuff, right? The very subtle things that happen that take your mind away from the ultimate success, fulfillment, and happiness. Right? If you're not feeling those things, and these are things that you want to feel because this is getting you to your ideal life, then we got to run the results matrix like it says here in the book. We got to get better language and better visualization so it can create better programming in our mind. We got to unlearn and relearn new things. Then once we have that programming, it's going to shift how you believe. And when your beliefs start to shift, when you start thinking differently, when you can go back, I was talking to somebody about this too. When you can go back and say, I changed my mind. I was wrong about that. I changed my mind. I used to think one way about this, but now I think differently. You know you're growing. You should change your mind. You should have more information than you had when you were 25. You should have more information than you had when you were 35. Like you should think differently. You should contradict some of the things that you believe to be true 20 years ago, by just learning and being around new people and getting new visualization, you should be able to change your own beliefs and be like, oh, I don't believe that anymore. At one point in my life, I believed that people were like, blah, 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 blah. But now I don't believe that anymore. I used to believe money was like this. I used to believe that my health was like, I used to believe, but now I believe this. How many of those areas do you have in your life? Or do you still think about life the same way you thought about life 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago? Because if we can go back and say, you know what? I changed my mind. I have new information now. I have new experiences now. Things are different now. I actually don't believe that anymore. I used to believe that was the way. Now I don't. When we can do that, you can start to change your life, y'all. Because once your beliefs are running everything. It's going to change your habits, it's going to change your actions. Everything else is going to fall in line. The action step for today says review this results matrix, decide what level of happiness you wish to attain. Is it poverty class, working class, middle class, upper class, or world class? You can put all of those in any of these results matrix. Poverty class language and visualization creates poverty class programming. Poverty class programming creates poverty class beliefs all the way down. It's just by how we think, ladies and gentlemen. So you gotta, it says begin the process of upgrading your language and mental pictures that you use with yourself and others so you can get yourself to this world-class level. I know you can do it. I'm proud of you for sticking on the journey. Just know this takes work. This takes work to change our programming. You might not even be aware of how you are programmed. That's what these are for. These are to plant the seeds. So say today, Monday, October, maybe I should pay attention to this. Like maybe there's some thoughts I have that probably aren't serving me to get to the life I want, to get to that ideal life, to experience the happiness, the fulfillment, the joy that I'm looking for. It probably comes with some of my stinking thinking. And the more that we're aware of it, the more we can change it, y'all. I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve it. Your families deserve it. If no one tells you, I will always tell you, you deserve it. Thank you, Dana. But just know it takes intentionality. You got to go out and you got to make this thing happen, y'all. You got to go make this thing happen. People are counting on you, but we're all here to push and encourage each other to get there together. All right. Enjoy your Monday. Go out, do something that scares you. I'll see you Wednesday. Take care.